All right, a very good morning to everyone. The Second Region Child Protection Court number one, Hardin County is now in the interest of EJ for a permanency review before final order. We have Ms. Bythewood, we have Mr. Crocker, Ms. Walker. Of course, what about the father, Gidget Frige? Gidget Frige? Gidget Frige? Gidget Frige? Ma'am, if you are appearing by phone, is that Ms. Frige?
Yes,
Okay, you're Gidget Frige?
sir.
Okay, so I have a different device name there for you.
I'm on my mom's phone. I'm at my mom's house right now.
Okay, well, tell her we said thank you, but I'm going to change that name, okay, on the device.
Okay.
Ms. Walker, you may call your first.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd call Ms. Kamek. Would you go ahead and state your name, please?
Carolyn Kamak. I'm the CVS caseworker.
And first of all, Ms. Kamek, where's the child currently placed?
He is with his maternal grandmother.
Okay. And how long has he been in that placement?
Since the beginning of the case in, I think, April.
Okay. How's the child doing?
He's doing really well.
Okay. And how old is he now?
He's 2.
Is he seeing any doctors or other healthcare providers?
Other than his pediatrician for his regular appointments, no ma'am.
Okay. Anything that the child needs or the placement needs that the court should address today?
Not that I'm aware of.
As to the mother, was there a service plan that was created for her?
Yes, ma'am.
And has she completed or initiated any of the services in that plan?
Yes, ma'am.
And so far, what has she been able to complete?
She completed her parenting. She did her ADAC assessment, which referred her to outpatient services. She's completed that. She's completed her psychosocial. There were no recommendations on that. She is working, and she says that she is approved for an apartment, but I haven't verified that apartment yet.
The paperwork right here that I'm in it already. And also I did the BIP assessment too,
Yes,
which was
Okay, all right, Ms. Frige, thank you very much. Stand by. I look forward to hearing all of that.
yes, the BIP assessment was done, and it referred her for classes, and she's completed those.
Okay. And so what remaining on the service plan does she need to complete?
Appropriate housing and maintaining her sobriety.
And has she been drug testing for the department?
Yes, ma'am.
And any concerns?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now as to the father, has the father been located?
No, ma'am.
Has any information been provided to the department in order to try to locate him?
No, ma'am.
And have you talked to the mother in regards to who's the father and where he can be located?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And what information has she been able to provide?
She has not provided any information. She just states that she doesn't know.
Okay. At this time, are you asking that the court allow the child to remain in the current placement
Yes, ma'am.
and that the department continue as the temporary managing conservator?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you feel this is in the child's best interest?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also feel that there would be a continuing danger to the health and safety of the child and contrary to his welfare if he were returned to a parent or parents today?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kamak, has a paternity registry search been done?
Yes, sir. It returned no results.
Okay, and has that been filed with the clerk?
I don't know that it has been, but I can get it done today.
Okay, if it has not been, if you can confirm that, if not, the court will have you file that, e-file that today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Mrs. Kamak, what is the harm for returning the children to the mother at this time?
The department would like to see a longer stint of sobriety, and we're not sure about the stability of the housing at this point.
Okay, so let's go with the housing issue. Does she currently have satisfactory housing?
She just stated that she has moved into the apartment, but I have not verified the apartment.
Okay. How long has she been in the apartment?
She notified me about, I think about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago that she was approved for an apartment. So I don't know how long she's been in there.
Okay. Do you have any idea when the visit may occur to her new home?
I can get there this week, probably, or maybe early next week.
Okay. If the home appears to be satisfactory, that's different than stability. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
So what is the court claiming is unstable about her home?
Well, if she just moved in, then she has not established that she can manage a budget to maintain the home and utilities.
Has she not done that historically?
Not that I'm aware of. She's been living with other persons.
Any idea if she was contributing to the household of other people she was residing with?
I don't.
Okay. So would you agree with me that she can provide a stable home regardless of what her prior living arrangements have been historically?
I don't know her finances.
Okay. So it's not the home, it's her finances.
Well, she has to have the finances, the stability in her finances in order to be able to maintain that home.
Okay. So this case has been going on since what, about April?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what have her finances been over the course of this case?
I don't know. She has been working since she was released from jail in July, but I don't know what her budget is.
So you would agree with me that any potential issue is merely speculative with the home and her finances or lack thereof?
Yes, sir.
Now, with respect to her length of sobriety, how long has she been sober?
My assumption would be since she was placed in jail in April.
Okay, so 9 months?
Yes, sir.
How much sobriety does she have to demonstrate for the department to be satisfied there's no longer a harm?
We would like to see some where she's not actually, she was in the jail from April through July. So part of that was forced sobriety.
Sobriety nonetheless, correct?
Sir?
Sobriety nonetheless, correct?
Yes, sir.
Inpatient rehab would be a forced sobriety variety, correct?
Outpatient. Yes, sir.
And then July to August, September, October, November, December. That's 5 months of sobriety since she was released from jail that is not forced, correct?
Correct.
So how much more does the department need?
I can't answer that.
Well, you've testified there's a future harm, but it's based upon your speculation, correct?
Yes, sir.
You don't know anything about her home. You don't know anything about her finances. And you're saying, I don't know how long she needs to be sober, right?
Well, we asked for at least a year.
These cases last a year, don't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these cases don't have to last a year, do they?
They don't have to. No, sir.
Okay, so people can demonstrate sobriety for less than a year and have their children returned, can't they?
Yes, sir.
So the department doesn't necessarily need a year's sobriety, do they?
That's what we asked for, whether we need it or not.
Well, who determines whether you need it or not?
That's just standard department policy is the 1 year.
Objection as to policy and facts not in evidence, plus it's not in policy.
Sustain.
Anything other than her residence and sobriety that are concerns for the department?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. I'll pass the witness. Thank you, Ms. Kamek.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kamek, what are the goals? The last time we were here, they were relative adoption and FRE. What are they today?
They remain the same.
All right, thank you. Ms.
Welcome.
Vice.
Okay, in looking at Mom's Family Plan of Service, the last one that I had was filed back in May. Is that still the current family plan of service?
No, ma'am. I think there was one filed in December.
Well, I've got the permanency report, but that just kind of has a rundown on what she's done and not done.
Okay. Let me look and see what the date of the last one was.
Sorry, my phone was not off, and emergency management keeps letting me know it's freezing outside.
That does need to be updated. I thought it was updated in early December, but it does need to be updated again. So, but as far as what's on it, it was the same.
Okay, so on it, it says that,
I thought it was updated in,
Judge, you're going to start thinking I need medication. All right, so looking at it, it talks about her incarceration, but when she is released, she's to obtain appropriate housing. Do you know when she obtained appropriate housing, or when she obtained housing?
She notified me about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks ago that she had been approved for an apartment. I'm not sure when she moved in.
All right.
The first I heard of her moving in was just now.
Okay. So you just today learned that she moved in. So you've not been able to go determine whether or not it's appropriate. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's her responsibility to let you know that she's moved in. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So right now, you don't know whether or not the home that she has is safe, stable, and appropriate for the child, do you?
Correct.
And did I hear you say that you would go out there within the next week?
I could get out there this week or the beginning of next week.
All right. Nobody's expecting you to go out today or tomorrow, probably, right?
Well, I could. Hopefully nobody's requiring that.
Yeah, no, it's not nice out there, so be safe. So
Yeah.
that first requirement really hasn't been met. You said that she has been working since July.
Yes, ma'am. She's had a couple of jobs since July.
All right. How long has she had her last job?
I think she's been in this job since early to mid-November, I think.
All right. And do you know if there were any gaps in employment?
She had started working at a convenience store or gas station, and she was released from that job. I'm not sure how long that gap of employment was.
And you need proof of income on
Yes,
on the current job?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Even though you need proof of income, do you know she's working?
Yes, ma'am. She's working.
Okay. All right. Thank you for admitting that. I appreciate that. Attending court hearings and meetings. Is she attending the court hearings and meetings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And here's a big one, is making sure that she maintains sobriety from methamphetamines. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. The
Okay.
department.
All right. So she did submit to her drug assessment. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were there recommendations from that drug assessment?
It recommended outpatient rehab.
And has she completed that outpatient rehab, or is she still working on that?
She's completed it.
Okay. And was there any further recommendations from outpatient rehab?
She needs to attend NA, work the 12 steps.
Okay. And are you receiving documentation that she's attending meetings?
No, ma'am, I haven't seen the documentation.
Have you asked for that?
I have told her that I need the attendance sheets, or at the very least, a signature stating that she was there.
Right. And on how many occasions have you asked for the signature sheets?
I cannot speak to that. I don't know.
Okay. At least once?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what was her response when you asked for them?
Okay.
Do you remember how long ago you last asked for it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And have you been drug testing her?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And has she been going to the drug tests as you request her to?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you had any concerns regarding her drug tests?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's fantastic, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's good progress.
Okay, and we just heard that she's initiated her BIP. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and do you know if there's been any recommendations from that yet?
My understanding is that she was recommended to do domestic violence classes.
All right, for the victim or the aggressor or both?
Victim.
All right, and do you know if she's started that?
I thought she had completed it, but let me double check to.
All right, I have no objection to you refreshing your recollection by looking at that. It's important that we know it.
You may.
It is not completed yet. They requested an additional 2054 on the 2nd of January. So they're still working on that.
And do you know how many more sessions they're requiring or asking for?
I asked, but she did not respond.
She
On the
being
20
provider.
The provider, yes, sir.
Does the 2054 indicate how many more sessions you're going to pay for?
Yes, sir, it would. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. It would. I'm logging into the program to see what I put on there. I think it was 6 more units that I put on it, just to make sure that they had enough to cover her, since I didn't get a response from her. But let me.
All right. No, that's fine. I can move on. Parenting. Has she taken her parenting class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she's provided a successful completion and certificate to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And she's participated in family visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she's allowed to do that at her mom's house. She's there right now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So at this time, are the only concerns that the department has is making sure that she has a safe and stable home for the child, and making sure that she's following up with her recovery by going to meetings?
Yes, ma'am. Maintaining sobriety.
Okay. And I understand the maintaining sobriety, you got that with drug tests, but sobriety is not using drugs. Recovery is living a life not using drugs. Would you agree with me?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so
There's a difference.
So her maintaining her recovery, she shows that by going to meetings, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's why that's actually a really big deal. Even though it looks like she's done everything else, we need to maintain that recovery, don't we?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's a really big deal to make sure she's living in a safe and stable home for the child, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's one of the reasons why we're here is because this child was not being taken care of properly, not living in a safe and stable home, and being in a car going very, very fast inappropriately. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So at this time, she's close, but she's not there. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you say that that is the current danger in returning the child to her, is you don't know what her house looks like, and she's not showing you that she's still in recovery?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. As to the current placement of the child, is everything going okay there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I knew that answer before I asked it, so I'm glad to hear that. And the grandparents are meeting all the needs of this child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. He's very well cared for.
Okay. In fact, this is a very spoiled little boy, isn't he?
He is very spoiled.
Okay. He runs the house?
Pretty much, I think.
Okay. Good, good.
Yeah, he
And
loves
that's fantastic. He loves his what?
He loves his grandparents. He's always hanging on them and running after them.
Well, I don't have any further questions, so I'll pass you as a witness.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Walker, back to you.
I have no further questions, Your Honor, and no other witnesses.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crocker, you may call your first. And Ms. Bythewood, are you in a dual?
Excuse me.
Yes, Your Honor. And I did miss one question of the caseworker. She said that the plan needed to be updated, and I just didn't know what she was asking to update it with.
It's essentially when we update them, they have the same services that are on them, but the ones that have been completed are marked as complete. And the others just have that complete by date on them.
All
So
right. And,
it'll be the same.
okay, but you were going to specify what the recommendations were so that it was in black and white?
Yes, ma'am. I'll get that done today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crocker, you may call your first.
I'd call Mrs. Frege.
All right.
Perfect. I can hear you just fine now. Ms. Frege, you've heard the caseworker, Mr. Kamak, go over your progress on the plan of service, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you think your testimony is accurate?
It is not.
Okay, where is your testimony not accurate?
I have previously provided proof that I'm attending meetings, and I have it right here present with a signature sheet for the CR, Celebrate Recovery. I have proof of income right here that I've been working since September at the same place. And I also have my lease agreement. I moved in on the 21st of December. And then what else was it? It was something else. Oh, and the BIP assessment. When I finished speaking to the woman, she told me that that I was not going to be recommended anything. And if I have been, I've not been notified of that.
Okay, so this information that Mr. Kamak said you haven't provided her, have you provided it to her?
I did. It's in her email, but it was a couple of months ago. And so there's more signatures on the sheet than is on the one that I sent to her email.
So the stuff that she hadn't had, she's had for months.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
When she asked me for something, I try to get it to her that day because I'm forgetful sometimes. I've got a lot on my plate. I forget. So I go ahead and send it to her as soon as I can because I don't want to forget.
You moved into your apartment December 21st?
I did.
Okay. Is it local?
It's in Livingston. It's right down the road, 2 miles from my job, 2 or 3 miles.
Okay. And this current job, how long have you been there?
I've been there since September the 13th.
Okay. Do you have ample resources in which to pay your rent and cover your overhead?
Absolutely.
Now, you heard Mr. Bythewood talk about the difference between obtaining sobriety and maintaining sobriety. Are you going to A and NA?
Oh yes, I'll be go. It's not NA that I go to. It's CR, Celebrate Recovery. It's the same thing. It's just a Christ-centered program.
Okay. And how often are you attending that program?
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday without fail?
There's a couple of Tuesdays or a couple of weeks that I have missing, but that's it.
Is it virtual?
No, I go. I'm there in person.
Okay. Any other tidbits about Mrs. Kamak's testimony that you feel is necessary to correct?
No, I just need to know what I need to do. I've not been given any information on what to do as far as BIP goes. That's all.
Yeah. Are you surprised that the department submitted a request for BIP as late as January 2nd?
Yeah, being that it's an 18-week thing, I don't have 18 weeks left in this case. I mean, I'll do what I can. I think I've proven that I'm being compliant, and I'll do whatever they want me to do. But if it's going to be an 18-week program, but I don't have 18 weeks left. So we'll have to do something's got to be done. I don't,
Is it your understanding they're wanting you to get this counseling as a victim or a perpetrator?
A victim.
Okay. Have they known about your victim status since the beginning of this case?
Yes.
You didn't hide anything from them since April, right?
Yeah, I didn't. The referral was sent even when I made contact with BIP, the lady that did the BIP assessment. I had to make contact on my own because the referral was supposed to have been sent, and I never got a call from them. So I contacted Ms. Kamak and asked for their phone number so that I could call them and get these things going, because I just wasn't getting a phone call. Weeks passed and I never got a phone call. So I had to initiate this assessment on my own.
You've really been proactive throughout this case, trying to get things going in a quick manner, correct?
Yes, sir.
You want your children back in the department out of your life, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bythewood.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm not used to this anymore, y'all. First of all, yay, you are doing fantastic. And if I had pom-poms, I'd be waving them all over the place. Okay. In looking at your family service plan, it had BIP on there from the beginning. Were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. All right. And this is sometimes hard, but read every word. Okay. Not give you no legal advice
Until October.
Okay. All right. But no, just keep working it. I'm waving my pom-poms, visit that sweet baby, and I'll pass you as a witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Walker.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Mr. Crocker.
I have no further questions of this witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crocker, you may call your next, if any.
Your Honor, I have no further witnesses.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bythewood, any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Rita. All right. And is that your daughter sitting next to you?
Ma'am,
How proud of her are you?
very, very proud. She's doing good.
And at this time, is there anything this baby needs?
No, ma'am.
All right. And have you been able to see her home?
Yes, I have.
All
Very.
right.
Apartment.
And you've been very honest about some of the places that your daughter's lived and some of the choices she's made in the past. Is that correct? Okay. And how do you feel about the apartment that she's living in? I missed what you said.
They're very nice. It's a very nice apartment.
And what is her visitation schedule at this time?
It just revolves around her work schedule.
All right. And is everything supervised right now?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
putting you on the spot based on her, based on how well she's been doing. How do you feel about her having some unsupervised?
Well, we'll work up to it. Elijah, right now, he's just really used to being here, and she understands that, you know.
I don't want to traumatize him
Yeah.
at all
Yeah.
any further. I want him, we want him to gradually get used to me again.
I'm asking Miss Rita. Let me ask Miss Rita right now, okay?
Yeah, we talked about it, and for his sake, you know, we don't want to traumatize him in any way, that, you know, because he's not really used to his mom being around a lot, and he's used to me doing everything. And when she does come over, she tries to kind of step into my footsteps and kind of do things for him, and he's kind of pushing her back a little bit, like, no, he wants Nana to do it, but we're kind of trying to work him into it, and we're gonna get there. It's gonna be a slow process, but you know, we just want what's best for him, and we're just taking our time and being patient with him and letting him, you know, accept his mama back, I guess you say, in a way, because he is. Nana and Papa's got him spoiled, and Mama's got to learn what he's used to.
All right. Well, it sounds like y'all are working together as a team, almost co-parenting.
We are trying. We are trying.
You know, that's hey, you got some pom-poms raised for that. That's amazing. We don't hear that a lot with people who are being caretakers to their grandchildren.
Yeah, well, I love my kids. I love my grandkids, and I just love my family, you know, and I want to see our family stay together.
Good, good. Well, is there anything else that you need the court to know at this time?
No, ma'am.
All right, then I'll pass you as a witness.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Walker.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Cantrell, thank you. Ms. Bythewood, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, recommendation from the dual role?
Recommendation would be to maintain the current placement. Sounds like they are working together very well in what's best for this child. And as soon as they both feel like mom's ready, then they'll approach the court with a new recommendation. I can't tell you how proud I am of mom. She's a different person. And that's what we want to see here.
We'll want the best for Elijah.
Lockwood, thank you. All right, Ms. Frige, you have had more than a few people really commend you and who are very proud of you for how you have worked all of your services this far. And the court does find that you are compliant with your service plan. And I don't just want to join all of those who have commended you and congratulated you and who are encouraging you. I don't mind getting out in front and leading that parade. So the court is very proud of you. Keep up the great work. Whatever it takes to stay in recovery, do that. My guess is your mom, your dad, Elijah, and you love the new you. So do whatever it takes to take care of Elijah's mother and give him back the mother that he needs and wants and deserves. I'm very proud of you all for co-parenting. I think some of the decisions and the plan that you all have articulated is really the loving, developmental, and healthy way to do things. So thank you and congratulations. Now, if and when unsupervised visits become in the best interest of the children, those may begin by agreement. Otherwise, obviously, somebody will have to set a hearing on that issue. Now, today, the court is going to find that there would be a continuing danger, and it would be contrary to the child's welfare to be returned home today.
Yeah.
Now, I expect in the future, in fact, in the near future, that will become less true. And so if and when that is the case, I expect somebody will file a motion for placement or monitored return. Maybe it'll be a joint motion. Maybe it'll be agreed. So just keep up the good work, Mom. Now, remember, I do have to admonish you under the family code that if at the end of the case, and you know this, and I know you don't want it to happen, but if at the end of the case you're not willing and able to provide a safe environment for your child, your parental rights may be further restricted or even permanently. It's clear to me that you understand that. You absolutely don't want that to happen. So keep doing what you're doing and keep not doing what you're not doing. And things will likely take care of themselves. So thank you so much. Congratulations. We're proud of you and we're pulling for you. And so the court, and thank goodness for grandmothers. And so placement will continue. TMC with the department will continue. Our dismissal date is April the 8th, 2024. Our next setting is for a final trial on March the 19th at 1:30. Based on the earlier testimony from the caseworker, I'm going to appoint an attorney ad litem to represent the unknown father. Ms. Bear with me just a moment. Ms. McPherson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good morning again. I would like to appoint you to represent any interests of the unknown father. We've just concluded our permanency before final order. The final trial is March the 19th at 1:30, April 8th dismissal. Child is with maternal grandmother, doing well. The child is 2 years old. The department, if they've not filed it, they will be filing the paternity registry search result certificate. There was testimony from Ms. Kamek that she's done it, she's seen it, and there's no one claiming paternity. So at this point, my understanding is we have an unknown father, So
Is there any alleged father? Has the mother
there
named
is not.
anybody?
There is. She has not, and there is not. So in a similar vein, and just before we go, is anyone remotely associated with this case aware of any Alaskan or Native American heritage, tribal nation membership or membership eligibility? No, the answer is no. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you, Ms. McPherson.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Right. So with that, I will sign orders to that effect as soon as I see them electronically. So keep up the great work, and you all are excused. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, that's all I have. Can I go on purpose?
You may go on purpose, and hopefully the 190 east of you will be passable tomorrow morning.
Oh, and I was going to ask you while I still had you, are we being virtual tomorrow, or are we going in person?
We're going to go and be in person, but for a permanency before final order. Is the mother Caitlin Rice present? I believe I saw her.
Yes, sir, Your Honor, I am.
Thank you. And what about Dylan Rogers? I believe I see Mr. Rogers as well.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. And I believe also saw Ms. Langham, Robin Langham.
She was here, Your Honor.
Okay, I believe Ms. Langham,
Yeah.
can you?
Age is still up.
So Ms. Walker, you may call your first.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Ms. Jones, the caseworker. Would you go ahead and state your name for the record, please?
Linda Jones.
And Ms. Jones, first of all, where are the children currently placed?
The children are currently placed in their grandmother's, Miss Tina Slint's home.
And how are they doing in their placement?
They're doing well.
Are they seeing any doctors or other healthcare providers?
Yes, ma'am.
And I guess in regards to each individual child, what are they seeing doctors for at this time?
Just for their annual medicals and their dentals.
And any issues with those?
No, ma'am, no issues.
Okay. And how old are the children?
They're 5 and 2.
What is the permanency goal for them?
Relative adoption and family reunification.
Anything that you are aware of that the children need or the placement need that the court should address today?
Not at the moment. We just need to figure out where the children are going to remain placed.
Now, have there been some issues in regards to where the children have been placed and where they will be placed?
Yes, ma'am. I placed the children home with their parents on November the 6th on a monitored return. However, there was a situation between Mr. Rogers and Miss Rice on 12/18 where him and her headed out at the schoolhouse when they were dropping Bentley to the school. She was left at the school. He stated one story, she stated another. I was told by her sister that he left her there. When I spoke to Miss Rice, she stated he didn't leave her there. They got into it and she asked him to let her sister pick him up. However, she did state that she was very scared to go home and that they had been having issues.
Okay. And after that incident, did the department leave the children placed in their home?
No, ma'am. After staffing with Christina, she made me aware that I needed to inform Miss Rice that her and the children needed to go to her mother's home.
Okay. And did she go to her mother's home with the children?
She did. However, 2 days later, Mr. Rogers made allegations against her, stating that he was concerned for his children's safety and well-being because she was having some mental health issues and he didn't want no harm to come to them. So Christina informed me that I needed to make her aware that Miss Rice needed to leave her mother's home. And I made her aware and she left.
All right. So at this time, I guess both parents are making allegations against each other. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How have the children been since they've been, I guess, back with the grandparent?
They've been doing well. They look really good. They're happy.
Okay. And in regards to, I guess, the failed monitored return in light of the service plans, had the parents completed their service plan?
Miss Rice is in compliance with her service plan. She was supposed to complete an ADAC assessment. She completed her ADAC assessment. She has NA and AA classes to do weekly. She's provided me the proof of that. She participates in her random drug screens. The last drug screen I sent her for was on 1/4/24. She was negative. She completed her parenting in July of 2022. She completed her psychological. She completed her mental health evaluation. The last time we were in court, she needed another one. She took another one on October the 12th of 2023. She was diagnosed with depression and reoccurring episodes. She is to see a psychiatrist on a continuous basis. They prescribed her some medications that she's taken. She provided me the proof of the medication. She takes 3 of those. She has another appointment coming up either this week or next week that she stated. And then she follows the general rules of her family planner service. And she's actively looking for stable housing.
And you know where she's currently staying?
She was staying with her mother, and now she's staying with her grandmother.
Okay. And so it sounds like she's addressing her mental health issues?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now in regards to the father, how's he doing in relation to completing the services in his service plan?
I'm just missing from him 2 things. I'm missing his AA and NA sheet, and I'm missing I know he took a BIP. He stated that they told him that he could not take another BIP assessment due to him already having one. And when I tried to verify with BIP, no one has been answering their phones. That's the only thing that I'm missing from Mr. Rogers. He's been in compliance as far as speaking to the department and letting me know things that's going on. He is very unhappy that the children have been removed from the home and that he has to have supervised visits in the office.
Okay. So at this time, it sounds like even with the services that have been completed, the parents have not been able to demonstrate that they're able to provide a safe and stable environment for the children. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is the permanency goal again?
Relative adoption and family reunification.
And does that continue to be the department's goal at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As to the parents, anything, has there been, in light of the failed monitored return, is there anything in addition to was in the service plan or is in the service plan that the department is asking them to do?
No, ma'am. And I will say that the monitor return was going very well. When I would go out, there was one incident that he corrected. I went out on 11/6 for the placement, 11/20, 11/30, 12/5, 12/15. And then, I was made aware on 12/15 by Mr. Rogers that him and Miss Rice was no longer together, that they had been having issue for a while, but they didn't want the department to know because they felt that we would not return the children to them. And then on 12/18, everything just came to a head.
Okay. At this time, are you asking that the children be allowed to remain in their current placement with the grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
And that the department continue as a temporary managing conservator?
Yes, ma'am.
And you feel that's in the children's best interest?
Yes, ma'am.
You also feel there would be a continuing danger to their health and safety and contrary to their welfare if they were returned to a parent or parents today?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jones, on what date did you remove the children in place with the Schnitz?
The day we asked the children Miss Rice to leave with the children was on December the 18th.
Okay, the same day as the incident at the school?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
That's fine. All right, thank you. Mr. McCatherine?
Ms. Jones, what is the visitation for the parents?
So at first, when it first happened, the visitation was supervised through Miss Slintz, but at the time now, Miss Slint only monitors Miss Rice, and Mr. Rogers has biweekly visits that started on January the 9th at the Lumberton CPS office for 1 hour.
Have there been any issues with the mothers exercising her visits?
No, sir.
Are those specifically set at definitive times, or can she go by as agreed?
She can go by as agreed.
So because I guess we're going to set this for a final, what is the department's position as far as what are we looking at as far as a resolution to this case?
I would have to staff that to get a more definite answer for you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jones. I'll pass the witness.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crocker.
Ms. Jones, in light of the monitored returns failure, has the father been given any additional tasks for an updated plan of service?
No, sir.
So there's nothing he needs to do other than be in compliance with the existing plan of service?
That's correct.
Okay. How would you characterize his compliance?
I would say is moderate because he's
Okay.
lacking an item.
And for once again, what is the item he's lacking?
He's lacking providing me the sign-in sheets for the AA and NA.
When's the last AA and NA sheets when is the last time you were provided those sign-in sheets?
I have never had one for him.
Okay. How long has this case been going on?
This case has been going on for maybe 2 years, but
Okay.
he was told about providing those AA and NA sheets. He took his new assessment on 7/26/23. So he was made aware then after he had his assessment.
So about 6 months.
Yes, sir.
To your recollection, is this the first time you've told the court in the last 6 months that you're not getting these sign-in sheets?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain why?
I'm not sure why I have not got the sign-in sheets. I even provided him some that he can have signed to give to me.
Okay. Is he assuring you that he is going to these meetings?
Yes.
Does
And
it
no,
appear?
let me make a correction. I don't have a sign-in sheet. He has provided 2 screenshots. Sorry about that.
Okay. I think I got notes that said he's giving you something.
Yeah, he gave me some screenshots. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So these screenshots, are they evidencing the fact that he's attending these meetings?
Yes, when he provided those screenshots, there were, but I have not received those in a while.
Okay. So he needs updated screenshots.
That's correct.
Okay. His home is appropriate?
His home is appropriate.
Aside from the incident on the 18th, the relationship between him and the mother, while not ideal, is appropriate?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Pass the witness. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wheeler.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Jones, right now the children are placed with Ms. Schnitz, correct?
Yes.
But 2 weekends a month or every other weekend, they are at Robin Langham's house, the paternal groom. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, at Miss Langham's house, do the children have their own bedroom?
That's correct.
Okay. Has there been a home study completed on Miss Langham?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Now, has that been deferred or is it accepted? What's the status of that?
It was not accepted due to the children going back home with their parents, and also because of the record of Mr. Virgil Langham. The only thing that they could possibly be once some other stuff come back is backup babysitters.
Okay, and that's just because of his criminal history.
Correct.
Now you're aware that Miss Langham had the children for the first 7-ish months of this case, correct?
That's correct.
So she was the placement, and since then she's had the children every other weekend since then, correct?
That's correct.
And you've had no issues at all about the health, safety, or anything with the children being with Miss Robin Langham, have you?
I have not.
Okay. In fact, in October, I wasn't present for this, but co-counsel was, that everyone agreed that at the end of this case, Miss Langham could be a possessory conservator of these children. Is that correct?
I can't answer. I'm not sure what you're asking me. I can't answer that question. I'm sorry.
So CPS, you don't remember whether or not CPS agreed that Miss Robin Langham could be a possessory conservator, could have conservatorship rights even after this case is over?
No, sir. You would have to ask that question to Christina. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. Now, do the children have their own bedroom at Miss Schnitz's house?
They do not.
Okay. Now she's a great placement and everything, but so far there's been no concerns about safety of the children with Miss Langham, right?
Correct.
And the only thing that's preventing CPS from placing the children with Miss Langham is your policy against placing with anyone who has someone in their home who has a criminal history.
That's correct.
I pass the witness, Sean.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Regarding the placement, does the department have, at least today, recommendations as to how this is going to go with the placement with the parents and with Ms. Langham? Are you proposing that it continue as it is?
We were possibly, and y'all can speak to Christina, but we would like to possibly give PMC to Miss Tina Slintz.
What visitation or possession does the department anticipate from today forward with the parents?
Supervise only at this time.
Have y'all discussed how long that supervised visits would continue?
We have not.
The incident at the school on January 18th, which school was that?
It was on December the 18th. It was at Bentley School, elementary school.
And was that was it in the public?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to find out what the argument was about?
Yes, they had been arguing back and forth because Mr. Rogers at the time, I'm not sure right now if he still does, has another girlfriend.
And do you know whether or not that girlfriend has been introduced or exposed to the children?
I don't know about introduce, but I know myself from going on a visit that he does video chat with her and the children do be in the home.
You don't know if they have been personally in the home with the girlfriend, do you?
No, sir. From my understanding, the girlfriend lives out of state. I'm not aware of which state, but she lives out of state.
Have you had any identification of the girlfriend?
No, sir. Just on a video chat.
And the children have been in the room when that video chat was ongoing?
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether or not Ms. Rice is seeing anyone?
Ms. Rice has seen it. She has not told me herself, but Mr. Rogers have told me that she's seen the woman because him and I discussed her.
I'm sorry, she's seeing?
On the video chat, she's seen the lady on the video call.
Okay. Is she seeing anyone else herself?
I'm not aware of her seeing anyone else. She hasn't told me. However, Mr. Rogers has told me that she's seeing someone. I have no no knowledge of that. I've never seen it. I've never heard it. Never laid eyes on it my own self.
Have you discussed that issue with the mother?
The mother says she's not seeing anyone.
Okay. And their argument was about that on December the 18th.
Yes.
Now, were they living together until that date?
Yes, sir.
And were the children present at the time of the argument?
Yes, sir.
Did the argument entail any physical pushing, shoving, hitting, or anything of that nature?
It wasn't physical at the time, but she did say he drew his hand at her.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Rogers.
He did what?
Miss Rice stated that it wasn't physical, but he did draw his hand at her to hit her.
Okay. Was it of the nature that she was forced to retreat from him?
Say it again, Mr. Butler. I didn't hear
Was
you.
she forced to retreat from him to move away from Mr. Rogers in order to get to some safety?
Yes, sir.
And did she take the children with her?
Yes, sir, she did.
Did she tell you that they had any other of that spirited arguments or disputes?
Yes, sir. When she and I spoke on the 18th, she was crying. She told me she had been hiding it from me, that her and him had been arguing for a while. She couldn't take it anymore. She didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. She was tired of hiding it from CPS. She was just tired, and it was overbearing, and that he had some mental health issues that he needed to resolve.
Did she express it that it was anger issues?
She expressed that it was mental health issues, and she felt like she was walking on eggshells being at home with him, her and the children.
Do you know what mental health issues she was referring to?
No, sir, I do not.
In your visits with Mr. Rogers, did he admit that he had begun a new relationship?
He did, only because I asked what was, the problem.
And did he allege that that the mother had also begun a relationship?
Not on that day. That day, what he stated was that she changed her Facebook status to single.
Were they married?
No, sir, they're not legally married.
Okay. So that's not an inaccurate description.
Right, it's not. No, sir.
Have you checked the background of this person with whom the relationship exists?
Of Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
No, I have not checked her background status.
Okay.
I just went off his word of mouth.
Okay. Do you know the identification of that person?
No, sir.
Okay. Have you asked?
Her name?
Yes.
No, sir.
Do you know where she's from?
No, sir. He may have made me aware of the state that she lives in and things to that nature, but I don't recall.
Have the children had any additional counseling or evaluation since that argument?
No, Winter Circle did reach out to Miss Slentz in regards to trying to get services set up for Bentley, but not at this time. It hasn't came up yet.
Well, what do you mean it has not come up yet?
The appointment date.
Okay. So are they going to see Ms. Williams?
No, sir.
Who are they going?
They're going to be seeing somebody within Winner's Circle. I'm not aware of the counselor name at this time. Miss
Okay.
Pittman reached out to Miss Slentz to schedule appointments.
How the children acted at the time that Mr. Rogers has had his visits?
At the CPS office,
Yes.
the visit went well. No complaints. I talked to the HST. I asked him, did the children look scared or did they look nervous? He said they didn't look scared. They didn't look nervous. They were happy and eager to see Mr. Rogers.
At the Snitz home, the children, do they continue to sleep in the dining room?
They do. Yes, sir.
Have you been told of any plans to have a different arrangement for those children?
Yes, Miss Slentz and I were speaking, and one day she was telling me that possibly they can start sleeping in the son's bedroom.
Is the son still there?
Yes, sir.
How old is he?
I'm not aware. I think maybe 18 years old, something to that nature.
Would that be a good arrangement to have 3 children in a room?
Well,
with
from
that age?
from my understanding, he wouldn't be in a home anymore if it got to the point where she had to keep the children permanently.
So the older child would be leaving or required to leave?
Yes, from my understanding, he'll be going to her mother's home.
Have you seen the children with Ms. Langham?
No, sir. Not since I've been the worker. No, sir.
And have you been to the Langham home?
I have not. No, sir.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jones, my understanding is that there are mutual allegations of mental health issues, safety issues from both parents. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. From either parent, has there been any allegations of drug abuse?
No, sir. No allegations of drug or alcohol abuse.
All right. And is it your understanding going forward that notwithstanding the logistics, the Schnitz would be willing to be a permanent placement?
That's correct.
All right. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Ms. Walker.
I have no further questions and no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. McCatherine, you may call your first, if any.
Your Honor, could I have just a quick follow-up with Ms. Jones?
Of course, of course.
Ms. Jones, you indicated that that Caitlin had gone and taken care of her mental health and she was addressing her mental health. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I guess my question is why is the department requiring that her periods of possession be supervised?
At first, they were not supervised, but when we got the allegations against Mr. Rogers stating that she had some issues going on, after speaking with Christina, she said she wanted them to be supervised.
But is that still the case after you've gotten confirmation from a mental health professional that she is handling her mental health and following the recommendations?
Yes, I would have to staff to figure out if they can be unsupervised.
Other than the allegations from Mr. Rogers, are there any other independent allegations dealing with mental health by Caitlin or the need for supervision?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up, Ms. Jones. I appreciate that. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jones, to your knowledge, is Ms. Rice on any psychotropic medications?
Yes, sir, she is.
And have you confirmed, by counting pills or otherwise, have you confirmed that she's maintaining those as prescribed?
Yes, I haven't counted her pills yet because I haven't been out to see her this month. She and I have been talking, texting, and she showed me her pill bottles and told me her start dates. They're very recent.
Okay, and so she's currently in counseling?
Yes, she's in she sees her psychiatrist.
Okay. Does she see a psychologist or a therapist, if you know?
I just know a psychiatrist.
Okay, and that would be the one who prescribes her medications.
That's correct.
All right. Okay, you characterized the father's compliance with his service plan, I believe, as moderate. How would you characterize the mother's?
She's in compliance.
Okay, and you have referred several times to Christine or Christina, Christine. In each of those times, were you referring to the supervisor, Ms. Nieto?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other questions from anyone for Ms. Jones? All right, thank you. Mr. McCatherine, you may call your first, if any.
I'll call Caitlin Rice.
All right, and Ms. Rice, you were sworn in, yes?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Caitlin. So the testimony was that you and Mr. Rogers are no longer in a relationship and living together. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the children are staying with your mother. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to go by and see your children frequently?
Yes, sir.
Is it accurate that you're staying with your grandmother right now?
Yes, sir. My grandparents.
Okay. What is your plan as far as living arrangements, since you've had to, I guess, make different living arrangements since your separation?
Well, I plan on getting an apartment fairly soon. I'm just saving up money right now.
All right. Do you have a place for your children there at your grandmother's, or are you preferring that the children just remain at your mom's at this time?
I mean, I do have a place. They have 3 bedrooms. 2 of them are vacant, so it could be a possibility.
In regards to the dining area at your mom's, do you believe that that is a sufficient makeshift bedroom for your kids to stay?
It's the living room, and yes, it's doable. They don't have any issues with it, so.
So would you be asking the judge to just leave things how they are?
I mean, I would prefer them to be with me, but I'm okay with them being with my mom
How frequently are you able to see your children?
anytime I want. I usually go over there on my lunch breaks and on my days off.
In regards to the allegations of your mental health, can you update the court on what you're doing to address your mental health?
Well, I go to Spindletop in Silsbee. I have a psychiatrist. His name starts with an M. I can't pronounce it. I take trazodone to sleep at night, my Abilify, and I have anxiety medicine that I take as needed.
Do you take this medication every day?
Yes.
How frequently do you see your therapist?
Are you talking about the one through CPS or my psychiatrist?
Your psychiatrist.
I have an appointment with him either this week or next week, but it's as needed.
Okay, so when would your normal appointment be reset with him, even though it's as needed? Would it be quarterly or monthly?
It's monthly.
And so how many times have you seen this therapist at Spindletop?
Twice since in the last 3 weeks.
Okay. And so as far as what that therapist has recommended, are you doing everything that therapist has asked you to do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you believe that you have your mental health under control?
Yes, sir.
Are you working?
Yes, sir.
Are you working?
Focus Call Center in Belmont on Concord.
Okay. How often do you work?
I work full time. I'm actually supposed to be at work right now.
Ruh-roh. Okay. Do you have any questions or concerns that you believe need to be brought to the court's attention today?
I mean, it to do with me or just in general?
In general, anything judge needs to know?
Well, I would say that maybe Dylan needs another mental health assessment.
Okay. And because this is a permanency hearing, I don't necessarily want to go down that rabbit trail
Mm-hmm.
of relationship and why that is needed. But you're asking that be considered by the department and the court. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And in regards to your children, do you believe that your children are okay visiting with Dylan?
Yeah. I believe for like for what it is right now, yes.
Okay. What do you mean like it is right now?
Like he gets supervised. I think that it's best if he just stays supervised, whether it be with my mom or CPS or whoever.
Okay. Now, Miss Langham is an opposing party to you by virtue of these proceedings, but do you have any issues with Robin Langham?
No, sir.
Okay. And your kids still stay over there about 2 weekends a month, right?
Yes, sir.
And is she and your mother still getting along and helping each other out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else, Caitlin?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Crocker.
No questions of the mother.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wheeler.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Rice, so you just testified that you have no issues with Robin Langham being around your kids, correct?
Yes, sir.
And would you be fine with that continuing in the future?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Rice, have the children been present when Mr. Rogers was active on the internet with his girlfriend?
Yes, sir.
And are they aware that he has begun a new relationship?
Yes, sir.
Now, have you seen anyone, whether on the internet or in person?
No, sir.
Have there been other than what was described as occurring on December the 18th? Have there been other arguments between the two of you in the presence of the children?
Yes, sir.
Has there been any physical violence, hitting, shoving, anything of that nature between the two?
I mean, so 2 weeks ago, I went and got some of my stuff, and he wouldn't let me leave, and he spit in my face. But other than that, that was it.
Were the children present?
No, that was when they were removed.
That was the same day that they were removed?
No, that was after they were removed, like a week after, like after Christmas.
And he spit in your face?
Yes.
Have there been any law enforcement calls?
No.
About either one of you?
No.
Has Mr. Rogers made physical threats against you?
No, no.
Have you made threats against him?
No.
How long have you been on the medications that you're taking?
About a month now.
Can you represent that you've taken them as prescribed?
Yes, sir.
Do they seem to be doing you some good?
Yes, sir.
And is it your understanding they're all for depression?
One's for depression and one's for anxiety, but yes.
Okay.
And then the other one's to help with sleep.
Okay. And I understood the Abilify and the Trazodone. What's the other medication?
It starts with the H. Hold on, I would have to look and see. It starts with the H, hydro something. Let me look. I did though. It starts with the H.
Did you and Mr. Rogers go to the school together?
Yes, sir, we did.
And somehow in that, was the argument in the car or?
Yes. Yes, the argument started because he was on FaceTime with that girl. And I asked him to get off FaceTime because we were dropping off Bentley. And he said, no, you can get out of my car right now. And I said, okay. So I just got out the car. I called my sister to come pick me up. And that was that.
Was he driving and doing FaceTime?
Yes.
Does he do that regularly?
I'm not sure. I'm mainly at work all the time, so I don't know.
Well, had you been in the vehicle when he was doing FaceTime before?
No. He only really started openly FaceTiming her when I addressed him about it, so I don't know if he's done it before, but
okay. And how long, to your knowledge, had he been FaceTiming this woman before the 18th?
For about a month or so. I mean, I knew. I didn't really care to address it because, the boys were home. I didn't want to argue about it. I mean, it hurt, but I didn't want to argue about it, so I just let it be.
And had he openly FaceTimed her in front of you?
No, when my sister told me, because we live right next to each other, when she told me that he was FaceTiming her that night, I addressed him. And the next day he started FaceTiming her in front of me.
And when was that?
That was about a couple weeks before Christmas, right after Thanksgiving.
Okay. But had that ever occurred while driving before?
No.
Were the conversations that you heard and that the children that were exposed to, were they appropriate between Mr. Rogers and his girlfriend?
I don't know about the ones that she was FaceTiming him with the boys when I wasn't home, because I would work overtime and stay at work pretty late. But the conversations I heard him have with her, I mean, I guess they were decent. They were okay. But the ones as far as when I wasn't there, I'm not sure.
As witness.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Walker.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. McCatherine.
I have no further questions of Ms. Rice and no further witnesses.
All right. And Ms. Rice, before you go.
Yes, sir.
Now, did all of this happen while Bentley was in the car on the way to school?
Yes, both Alex and Bentley were in the car.
Okay. And so you got out of the car?
Yes, because he asked me to.
And was that on the way to school or
at the school? At the school.
All right. And so the children, what then?
Bentley went to school and then Alex was dropped off at MetStart.
By whom? By Mr. Rogers?
Yes, sir.
But you were no longer in the car?
No, sir.
Did Bentley, now Alexander is 2, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. Did Bentley, if you know, did Bentley see Mr. Rogers leave with you still at the school?
I mean, I made sure that he got to the teacher, and then I left. I waited for Victoria to pick me up.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Rice? If not, Mr. McCatherine, you may call your next, if any.
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Crocker, you may call your first, if any.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Mr. Rogers.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rogers, first and foremost, do you have a current mental health diagnosis?
No, sir, I do not.
There's been some allegations by Caitlin that you have some mental health issues. Do you?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. You certainly still have a continued issue with your mother and the boys being placed with her, correct?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And the reason behind that is?
Well, for one, we were told if we sign mediation, she would stop trying to take them, but yet it just keeps going and going. I'm constantly having her call my probation officer, trying to get my probation revoked for no apparent reason. And I don't really feel safe with my kids around Virgil Langham. Whenever he tried pushing Caitlin down a flight of stairs with our 8-month-old in her arms, that's not safe for a child to be around. If a grown man's going to put his hands on a woman like that, no.
Well, ultimately, that's always been the issue is Mr. Langham and her inability to distance herself from him, correct?
Yes, sir.
You heard the department express their concerns about that as well as late as this morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you spit in Caitlin's face?
No, sir. I actually have a video recording of everything. I've been recording everything, voice and video, where I've tried to come at her calm, have very calm conversations, and she will sit there and scream at me, cuss at me, tell me she's going to hit me. I even have video recordings of her admitting she lied to CPS about all of this just because I broke up with her. That she's not scared of me, that I didn't leave her up there, and that my kids are in no danger around me. Not to mention, just 2 days ago, she texted me telling me she wants us to get back together.
And this all culminated on the 18th day of December and has gone throughout the holidays, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is the first time that you've had the ability to actually express this to the worker in full, correct?
Absolutely.
You would like the department to look at your recordings and your videos to bolster your position, your testimony. Is that correct?
I would, but I was told by the department that my stuff did not matter.
Okay. And what representative from the department said that your stuff did not matter?
Christina and Linda.
So Mrs. Nieto and Linda
both told me my recordings did not matter, and they did not want me to send them to them or hear them.
What is your preference with respect to the children as of today?
As far as what?
Well, number one, where would you like them placed?
I think my kids should be with me because also I don't know why it wasn't said whenever it was asked how my visit with my kids went. But Bentley begged me to come back home. And when I told him no, he ran out the door angry. So I don't know why that wasn't brought up, that my son was begging me to come back home.
There was no physical violence on the 18th of December in the presence of the children, correct?
Correct. Never been any physical violence. And I have that on recording as well, that I've never hit her in our entire relationship. Actually, she said because she knows I would never hit her because I'm too scared to do so, is her exact wording.
The only thing that has changed that would basically alter the prior living arrangements for the boys is that you and her are no longer together, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It's not predicated upon any type of violence, but it is predicated, I guess, in part on her mental history or mental health.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I've had a situation like this before where she's lied. She's lied to family and tried lying to the police whenever she went through a mental breakdown. And I started receiving calls about how the U.S. Army picked her up and kidnapped her, her sister, her mom, and was holding them hostage. So I know what it's like when she goes through a mental breakdown.
How often are you seeing the boys?
I only get to see them once every other week for 1 hour.
And what location?
At the CPS Lumberton office.
Okay, does that seem a bit unfair for you?
It's a completely unfair.
And remind the court now what your work schedule is.
Right. I do not technically have a job. I still work underneath my legal business. So I work whenever I want to work or whenever I find work. I still put my business out there. I still pick up side jobs. It's just I don't have a truck, so I can't haul 2x4s and sheetrock in a Firebird. So,
but the last time we were in court, you were working pretty much every day of the week, one shift or another at Kiwanis.
Yes, sir. Caitlin moved us out to Honey Island, and I was not making enough money there for the gas to be worth the job. I'd be working just to work. There'd be no income.
Well, how it'd be no surplus?
Yes, exactly.
So how are you sustaining your household right now?
Right now I'm just picking up odd jobs here and there. Anything I can.
Do you have a home that is appropriate for the boys to return to?
Yes, sir. I feel like except for the fact that Caitlin took all their clothes and everything. So don't have any of that.
All right. I pass the witness. Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wheeler.
Mr. Rogers, you're currently on probation.
Correct. Yes, sir.
For aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And Virgil Langham is the
victim?
No,
not with a deadly weapon. Aggravated assault on a family member.
Okay. Aggravated assault on a family member, and Virgil Langham is the victim of that?
Absolutely.
And there was a quasi-monitored return earlier on in this case?
I don't understand what quasi means. Sorry.
So there have been 2 times that CPS has returned the kids to you on a temporary basis since this case has started?
Yeah.
And the first time they were removed because there were allegations of assault, family violence, or some kind of abuse of you towards Caitlin, right?
No, that is incorrect.
So was it you against the kids?
It was the kids had mosquito bites, and Linda tried saying they were burn marks, and they were taken to the hospital, and even the hospital said there was 0 signs of abuse, that they were bite marks. So
that was the first time the kids were returned. Then there was a second monitored return that we're just in recently, and they have since been pulled back out of your home, correct?
Correct.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Mr. Rogers, it was noted that you had not turned in the sheets, although you had some screenshots. Are you continuing to do AA and NA?
Yes, sir. It is online, and I just forget to take pictures because I typically do it. I was doing it late at night, and so I would just kind of forget to take and send the picture because it's a 24-hour service. So it kind of started slipping my mind.
How long has it been since you worked at Tia Juanita's?
I don't know, maybe 4-ish months, maybe 4 or 5. I don't want to lie. I don't know off the top of my hand.
And during that time, you've not been employed other than by yourself?
Correct. Yes, sir.
In the last 2 months, do you know how much you've made?
Nothing. Caitlin did not want me working. She wanted me home with the boys. So she kept telling me I'd try to go out to work, and she would tell me, "No, baby, I have this. I don't want you working. Just stay home and take care of the house and the kids."
What did she mean by "I have this"?
As far as the bills, her job would cover all the bills.
Okay. And she's working where?
At Focus Call Center. As far as I know, I think she's still there.
Okay. So you haven't worked in how long? 4 months?
No, that's not necessarily true. Sometimes I do work for my landlord. Excuse me. I just did something not too long ago for her. I can't remember what it was. I don't want to sit here and lie under oath. But but I did just do some work for my landlord, and it knocked what, $300 off our rent.
Who's your landlord?
Something Miss Johnson.
And that's in Honey Island?
Yeah, Koontz, Honey Island. It's a Koontz address, but I think it's considered Honey Island.
Okay. And you don't remember what you did?
No, sir, I cannot.
How long ago was that?
Maybe 2 months ago. And then actually last month I did replace a dishwasher, which was $100. So
For your landlord?
for my landlord, yes, sir.
Who paid the January rent?
January rent. That would be, well, right now it's on a week by week because depending on what happens with my kids, depends on if I keep a 3-bedroom home.
How much are you paying a week?
$300. So it's still the monthly rent, but it's just broken down week by week. So like I just paid for this week and next week, and then I have a little job lined out next week, which will cover probably another 2 more weeks. So just kind of waiting to see what happens with the kids before I decide on if I'm staying here. So right now I have about half the house packed up.
Right. So you have packed some of the house?
Yes, sir. Just in case, because I'd rather not sit here and wait till last minute. I like to be prepared.
Okay. And since the 18th, when Ms. Rice was no longer there, how have you paid rent?
Caitlin's paid some rent.
She paid rent for you, even though y'all were separated?
Yeah. Even though she's scared of me and this and that, she still paid the rent.
Now, when did you begin your relationship with the other woman under the on the internet?
See, that's where I'm not understanding, because I also never told Linda that I was in a relationship, so I don't know why we're lying. She is a friend that I met on the video game that I talked to and have been able to always talk about any issues going on. She's been there for me just as someone to vent to whenever I have issues. Because anytime I would feel down or want to talk about my feelings to Caitlin, I'd get pushed off as if I was the issue, as if my feelings did not matter. So she's nothing but a close friend.
And what game is it that y'all play?
Oh, Call of Duty.
How often do you play Call of Duty?
Not too often anymore. I would hop on every day in the evening time. But now probably play it every 3 or 4 days. I don't really play it too much anymore. Not since.
But you've gone from talking to this, playing with this person, to FaceTiming her.
Yeah. I figured if Caitlin's allowed to talk to all her ex-boyfriends and this and that, why am I not allowed to have a female friend?
Had she been in contact with, talking to her ex-boyfriends?
Absolutely. Within the first week of me being locked up, she had ran to 2 of her exes and then has been in constant talk with all of them. One who is a hardcore drug addict.
And does she continue those relationships?
Absolutely. She just admitted she still talks to one, 3 days ago.
And who is that?
Eric, something like that.
Who is your friend?
Just someone I met online. I know her by Toxic Twin 2.
Toxic
Twin 2. It's her gamer tag.
Do you know where she's from?
I want to say, I think like Michigan, somewhere up north,
And where are you from?
Texas. It's like a 1,200-mile difference,
Okay.
clear across country.
Have you ever met this friend in person?
No, sir.
And do you have plans to?
No, sir.
Um,
I have
do
plans on focusing on me and my children. That's my only plan, to
Do
get
you
my
know-
kids back and focus on a healthy life.
do you know whether or not Ms. Rice has met any of her friends in person?
Oh, absolutely. One of our biggest arguments we ever had was the fact that she went and sat down and had lunch with her ex-boyfriend.
And was that since the return?
No, but I did hear about how she went to go hang out with Eric since the after the kids just got taken away. She went and started hanging out with her other ex-boyfriend.
This is Eric, the drug addict.
Yes, sir.
And do you know where they met?
I just know that Eric was her first love. And they were together right before me and her got together. And yeah, that's it. They, as soon as she left, they started hanging out again. But they had been talking along with what, 4 other guys? But I wasn't allowed to have one single female friend. And that's where our arguments came from. Was she was allowed to have male friends, but I couldn't have female friends.
Do you know where Eric lives?
No, I think I want to say Vider.
What's his drug of choice?
Meth. And I only know that because when me and Caitlin first got together, I had to listen about all the drugs he would do, how he would hit her, cheat on her, beat on her, and this and that.
Do you know if she's ever shared drugs with him?
No, I'm not going to sit here and lie. So I have no clue. I doubt it, considering Linda did say she is passing her drug test. So, and I really hope not. You know, I hope Caitlin stays sober and stays off drugs and stays healthy.
Pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Rogers, did you allow this friend to speak with your children or see your children?
No, never like sat there and had her on camera or put them on the phone with her.
Would they be in the room while you were talking to her?
I don't think so. I don't recall them ever being around when I was on the phone with her. Maybe if I was playing the game with her, but they can't hear her over the headset.
And so you developed this relationship in response to what you felt like Miss Rice was doing?
No, I developed the friendship over a video game. We'd sit there, we'd play. We met in a clan of about 100 people. There was a big group chat. Everyone talks to everyone. And we'd play, we have a good time, laugh. And it just developed into a friendship I share with probably 50 something other people.
Okay, but it sounds like you were speaking to her in regards to your during your responses to Mr. Butler, that basically this person had moved beyond just being a friend that you talked to about gaming.
No, I talked to her how I would talk to any of my friends. If I have something going on, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm able to vent. I have male friends like that. I have, 2 female friends like that now.
And so how much do you know about this person that you developed a friendship with on, I guess, over this game?
I know she lives up north. I know she has a daughter. I mean,
and you said she goes by toxic something another. Does that name kind of describe how she is? Toxic?
No, not at all.
And
my name's American Bully. Does that describe me as a bully? You know,
And
it's a
what-
video.
How long have you been in a relationship with Miss Rice?
A little over 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
And were there any issues prior to the CPS getting involved with you and Miss Rice and the children?
Yes, there has been.
Okay, and what type of issues did you and Miss Rice have?
Her cheating on me with her exes, having secret lunches with her exes, texting her exes behind my back. It's always something with an ex.
Okay. And are you listening to your responses and how you sound? As if things that you are doing is to get back at Miss Rice, but not focusing on what's in the best interest of your children.
How do you feel that's coming out?
I'm asking you the question. Do you understand that that's how you sound?
No, I don't, because I don't talk to my exes. I don't go out on secret lunches.
Okay. Didn't ask you about your exes, didn't ask you about secret lunches. I'm talking about how you are responding to what you feel like Miss Rice is doing and not focusing on what's in the best interest of your children.
I'm simply answering questions that are being asked. So I'm not understanding how this is flipping onto me not being in the best interest of my kids. That is always my only interest.
Okay.
Regardless of if me and Caitlin stay apart.
Every answer that you have given to me sounds like you're reacting to something that you feel like Miss Rice is doing.
No, I'm simply answering your questions.
Okay. Because even the friendship you say that you've developed with toxic whomever she is in regards to something that you felt like Miss Rice was doing.
No. If I should be allowed to have friends. Do you have friends?
Am I asking you the
Mr.
question or are you
Rogers,
asking me the question?
Mr. Rogers. Mr.
I
Rogers.
don't know why this is being flipped.
Mr. Rogers,
Yes, sir.
do not argue with counsel.
Yes, sir.
Listen to the question. Answer only what you're being asked.
I'm not understanding my question.
Listen very closely.
When did the issue start between you and Miss Rice?
Which issues, ma'am?
Okay. In regards to not being able to get along.
They've always been there throughout the entirety of the relationship.
Okay. So when the children were returned to you, were you all just pretending to be together?
No, we were together. I was trying to make things work with my children's mother.
Okay. So do you feel like all the issues are because of Miss Rice's actions, not yours?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you feel like the issues between you and Miss Rice is all because of her actions and not yours?
No, not necessarily. I feel like, no, ma'am.
Okay. What do you feel like you have done wrong in the relationship?
I guess maybe try harder, not of giving up, but I don't know. I feel like just after trying and trying for 5 years, it gets hard to keep pushing.
Okay. So again, it sounds like you're saying that Miss Rice has been the only issue in the relationship, her actions.
No, I could have tried harder.
Okay. What do you feel like you were doing wrong besides not trying harder?
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, you said you're not sure?
I'm not sure. No, ma'am.
Okay. And what do you feel at this time is in your children's best interest?
I think they should be returned back to me because, like I said, I have proof that it was a lie on why they were taken. Okay, so I understand she wanted to walk away because there was no issue. There was no argument in the car until right as we pulled up to the school. Not a single word was said. We pull up to the school. She starts screaming and crying and gets out. I never told her to get out. I even stopped. If we check the school camera, sorry.
Mr. Rogers, do you understand that now you're again focusing on what Miss Rice has done? And I ask you, what did you feel was in the best interest of your children?
I feel like they should be returned back to me.
Now, these recordings that you have, what did you record them on? Your cell phone or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where did, were they recordings of her talking to someone or talking to you?
Me and her.
Okay. And how many recordings do you have?
Probably like 5 or 6, a good 5 hours worth of recordings. I've recorded everything since this happened.
Okay. So again, you feel like Miss Rice is the issue and you're doing whatever it is you think you need to do to have the kids return to her, but to keep her away from the children. Is that
Sorry.
what it is?
Could you rephrase that last part? To have the kids return to her, but
You
keep
said
her
that
away?
you have 5 hours of, I guess, conversations between you and Miss Rice.
Yes, ma'am.
And these conversations you feel like you can use against Miss Rice, correct?
Not necessarily use against her, but to basically prove that everything that's being said is a lie because I left. I'm here for my kids.
Okay. And I guess I'm not truly hearing that. But anyway, I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McCatherine.
I have no questions of Mr. Rogers.
All right. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Crocker. Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Any other witnesses, Mr. Crocker?
Your Honor, I have a follow-up with Mr. Rogers, please.
Okay. Yes. Quickly, please.
Mr. Rogers, you have offered those recordings to CPS because you believe that they reflect directly on this case?
Absolutely. I'm scared. That's what it comes down to, is I am scared. I was
What are
told
you
by
scared
Robin.
of?
Well, Robin said if the kids got removed again, she was going to hire a different and better lawyer to take full control of our kids and take them away, strip our rights completely. I am scared of losing my children permanently. I love my kids to death. And the fact that they were taken away from me yet again on a lie, when I've been doing nothing but trying to prove to CPS that I am capable of taking care of my kids. It scares me. I don't want to lose my kids. And that's my way of proving that it was a lie.
When you say Robin, are you referring to your mother?
Yes, sir.
And have you always called her by her first name?
No, sir.
Okay. When did that begin?
Whenever the lie about the whole situation happened with Virgil and everything, and she lied about what I did to his truck and everything. I do not see her as my mother anymore.
And have you done anything to reconcile that relationship?
No.
Okay. Other than you changed your name from Mother to Robin.
I mean, there's nothing else to do at that point. When you sit there and choose a man over your child, my whole life.
As to those recordings, would you be willing to send those to your lawyer so that they can be forwarded to me? Are they important for me or the court to have and review?
Absolutely, I can.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
And would you do that for me, please?
Yes, sir, I will.
Do you have any recordings of you and your lover? Is it this friend? Is she a lover or?
No, she's just a friend. Someone I don't ever plan on meeting. Just talk to and hang out on the video game.
Okay. Do you have any of those conversations recorded?
No, it's just phone calls or over the video game.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Butler.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to have to move on. I'm ready to render. Mr. Wheeler, do you have any questions of Mr. Rogers at this point?
They can be moved to another hearing, Your Honor. I was planning on calling my client this morning. I don't know if the court would like to hear from her, or I can, if the court's fine with me proffering what we anticipate, what I'd be calling her for. I think we all know what my client's asking for in this, Your Honor. I'd be putting her up there to testify as to placement.
All right. I believe that everyone sounds like everyone is in agreement that perhaps not Mr. Rogers, but everyone else, if not including him, believe that continued visits with your client, so long as any contact with Virgil is supervised, and that there seems to be trending this idea that maybe on final she would be amenable to being named a possessory conservator.
Correct, Your Honor. That's essentially the testimony I'd be eliciting today. Just for the court's record, I mean, if the court is fine with this, me just proffering this, we would also be asking to be named permanent managing conservator at the end of this, and I could listen to that testimony today, or if the court's fine with me just saying that this morning.
Well, I will note that certainly that has been pled for, and the court will note that your client remains ready and willing to become placement again.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Butler, in the dual role, do you have any further recommendations?
None other than I believe it would be a continuing danger to the children to place them with either parent, and ask that they not be placed there until we have more time to see what, if anything, develops.
Right. All right. All right. Thank you. Given everyone's positions, I'm not going to order you all back to mediation. I'm going to order, and all of this which follows, the court will find hereby that it's in the best interest of the children. The mother's visits supervised by her mother or parents that have been occurring since December the 19th shall continue. Father's visits shall increase to weekly supervised. My understanding is they've been every other week. The court finds it would be in the best interest of the children for his visits to increase to weekly for 1 hour each week supervised at the department unless otherwise agreed across the board. The court finds that the placement, current placement with the Schnitz is in the best interest of the children. That shall continue. Temporary managing conservatorship with the department shall continue. The court finds that the department's goals, namely relative adoption and family reunification, the court simply notes what the goals are today. The court finds that the father is partially compliant, that the mother is compliant in their respective service plans. And Ms. Walker, for the purposes of the orders from today, I'm going to need to delineate something that is going to need to be tracked and contained within the order. So I'm about to make a list of some 6, 7, or 8 findings that need to be in this order.
Okay. And
this is pursuant to Texas Family Code 263.403 C and D. All right, the court finds that the department removed the children from a monitored return to the parents on December the 18th, 2024. The court also finds that the parents have separated. Third, that on or before December the 18th, 2023, the parents ceased to be willing and or able to provide a safe environment for the children. Fourthly, the court finds that there has been discord and conflict in the home of the parents during the monitored return that has been detrimental to the children and not in their best interest. I believe fifth, the court finds that there have been two failed returns or placements with the parents previously. The court also finds that during the monitored return, there was negligent supervision by the father, Dylan Rogers, of one or both of the children, the subject of the suit. Next, the court hereby finds that the father is on probation for assault family violence. And finally, that the department's removal from said monitored return and the legal effects of that removal from a monitored return pursuant to the aforementioned statute is in the best interest of the children. Now, again, pursuant to that same statute and subsections, the court orders that the new dismissal date, as I render now and as I will sign this order as soon as it's presented to me electronically, the new dismissal date is hereby July the 14th, 2023. The court sets this
24, Your Honor.
Yeah, 24. Thank you, Mr. Butler. So again, the new dismissal date is hereby July the 14th, 2024. All right, the court hereby sets this for a final hearing, a final trial at 9 a.m. on March the 19th, 2024. All right, anything else from anyone else?
Yes, Your Honor. You alluded to it, but I didn't hear it explicitly stated. Ms. Langham has had 2 weekends a month of access to the children. Is that continuing throughout this process?
The court finds that remains in the best interest of the children and shall hereby continue.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. With that, certainly implicit would be that there would be a continuing danger and it would be contrary to the children's welfare to be placed back with either parent today, even on a monitored return. All right. Okay. With that, thank you all very much. Mom and Dad, remember that if at the end of this case you're not willing and able to provide a safe environment for your children, your parental rights may be further restricted or even terminated permanently. If I were to admonish any further, it would be to grow up and make decisions going forward in the best interest of your children, notwithstanding any personal issues. All right, so you are excused. Thank you very much. All right, let's move to the Perkins.